I don't want witches or the apocalypse for American Horror Story's 13th season, and this isn't to say that if we got that I would be disappointed, but I want something completely different than anything we've seen in the franchise so far. And one of the highlights of American Horror Story in its golden era, those first 3 to 4 seasons, was the fact that it was sampling different facets of American horror. So none of the seasons, at least in those first 4, were even remotely similar to each other. And that's what I want American Horror Story to revisit. Something that happened with season 3, Coven, and Apocalypse season 8 was the fact that the witches grew bigger than the franchise itself, which is why there are so many fans calling for a spin-off, myself included. But I don't want to continue to see them do witches and then try to recreate the Coven. They need to let it go, they need to let it rest, or they need to give it its own show, because we're wasting time with it. What I would like to see is something a bit more ancient. Now, the furthest back in time we've gotten an American Horror Story is 42 AD with the introduction of Siobhan's character. But I would like to see something oriented in the US. I would really like to see a different culture being portrayed on screen, and something that American Horror Story neglects quite often is the amount of diversity here in the US. I've not seen any Native American representation, no Asian American representation, no Mexican American representation, no immigrant representation with the exception of Ska Hawk. The reality is there is so much to be explored here in the fabric of what is the US, and all of it to an extent in its history is quite scary. Now, we could explore colonization. I think that would be an interesting season, but I don't want to go that route. I want to get into legends. I want to get into curses. I want to get into stories that are told by the groups that have been here the longest. And I think that would be a really cool way to go. And I think that would open us up and get us back on track to that original 4 seasons that we had at the very beginning of this very illustrious franchise. I personally would love to see Native horror portrayed on screen, assuming we could get the consent to tell those stories and they're portrayed accurately. But I would also like to see something that is more mundane, something that is so human. And I don't think everything that scares people is always something supernatural. Sometimes the worst, most devious, scariest things come from the guy who lives next door to you, the politicians that govern you, the people serving your food, etc. And so I think it would be cool if we took an angle like we had in season 7 Cult, although it is one of my least favorite seasons, and pursue something more mundane. But anyways, let me know your thoughts in the comments. I want to know what you guys think our 13th season of American Horror Story will be, or what it could look like. Personally, I hesitate to give any guesses, so I honestly have no clue where it's going, although I suspect we will be finding out pretty soon. And I will see you guys in my next video.